I'm absolutely thrilled and delighted today to introduce to you Dr. Sumit Kasaka. As you know, I've gone from working as a private chef, an international celebrity chef, to now an Ayurveda chef. And so I'm really interested to know more about Ayurveda, about the algorithms, about cooking. And I'm really thrilled that Dr. Sumit is here. Not only is he a practicing doctor, Ayurvedic doctor, but he's also the founder of the National Library of Ayurveda Medicine. And so without more to do, welcome. And please, I really want to know more about Vedic algorithms and with regards to cooking especially. And please, will you explain in simple terms what an algorithm is?
Thank you for having me on your channel. Algorithm, in a sense, means a process, a method which is based on laws which are very universal. So when we say an algorithm, like for example, when we calculate the speed of light, so it is based on the speed of anything, how it is fast is going to travel. So it is based on a calculation of how the speed is calculated. You know, it would be a formula. That formula would be unchallenged, like when we are calculating speed of light. So there is a formula which is unchallenged. So that formula forms as a base. And on that formula, we keep on building several blocks. You know, like I'll talk about this Lego bricks. A lot of children, you know, when they want to create shapes, they have this different kinds of bricks. And when they join bricks one together, they can create any shapes. So similar, an algorithm is a facilitation, a method from which you can create anything. And therefore we use the word algorithm because it is based on certain fundamental laws which lie at the foundation of each creation. Like for example, in Ayurveda, we have the Tridosha law, the Siddhanta. So when we say Siddhanta, it is something which is already established. It cannot be refuted.
Yes.
And therefore we say the word is Siddha. Siddha means nothing can be refuted. And then we say Anta. Anta means nothing comes beyond it. So when we say Siddhanta, it cannot be refuted. So in Ayurveda, everything we can say is based on Tridosha. Tridoshas cannot be refuted. If we understand how the Tridoshas work from micro to macro, we can understand all the creations in the world. And therefore, Tridosha, the way these Tridoshas are interconnected, maybe you can say on the 5 elements, however they are derived, that unique method, that unique process which can be applied at all levels is called as an algorithm. In the modern science also, algorithm is something which we use to calculate certain things which cannot be refuted. And again, I'll just, before ending this, I'll say this is different from hypothesis, postulates, or theorems, because hypothesis can be challenged. Today, what I'm saying, tomorrow you can challenge it. So an algorithm can be understood on a lot of hypotheses. So for example, if for somebody we would say that Earth rotates around the sun or revolves around the sun. So we know it revolves around in a particular algorithm. How that speed is calculated can be debated. But the fact is that it is there. And when we understand, we take for granted that there is this unique method why Earth is revolving around the sun. Then that thing, when we apply, we understand the revolution of all other planets. So once we understand that Earth is revolving, we understand other planets are also revolving. And similarly, in Vedic methodologies, whatever data is given to us in a very methodical manner. Understanding that method is called the algorithm. How you arrive at that method, it differs. So I hope in a nutshell, this was a little bit helpful to explain the term algorithm.
Thank you. And what would be the benefits of these algorithms in the kitchen?
See, the benefits of in the kitchen, I would like to come back to a point that Vedic cooking, you know, there is nothing called as Vedic cooking. I've already made a video about it. So if you scan the Vedas, if you scan Ayurveda, you know, we don't come across standard recipes. Of course, there are books which have mentioned recipes, but those books are based upon experiences. You know, if you see the diaspora of Indian history, Then we have a lot of spiritual foods. Like there are sects here which do not use a certain kind of food, a certain kind of elements in their food, like the Vaishnava tradition. They don't use garlic. There are certain traditions which might use garlic. There are certain traditions which use fish. There are certain traditions which use meat, depending upon their geographical locations.
Yes.
So there is nothing called as Ayurvedic food which says this is wrong and this is right. It will just tell you basis of how exactly we can prepare food in terms of where you are located. So when we say in Ayurveda that I want to prepare a food, I'll take a very simple example of meat. So let us say somebody first was hungry in the jungle and they wanted to eat meat. So you're hungry, just imagine, that you're totally hungry and you have got nothing to eat. You see something. We see these channels nowadays on Netflix and all. They say like, so you're hungry, you eat something, but it is not digestible. Then it comes to your mind that if I vomit, then maybe it will be very easy for me to digest it. So you're first using Agni. That is an algorithm. Then you refine on, okay, I have vomited, but still it is causing me issues. Can I make it a little bit more digestible, more acceptable? Why not add some salt? Why not add some pepper? So, in those things, when you start mixing 1 plus 1 plus 1 to make that food easily digested, absorbed, assimilated at macro and micro, because whatever food you're going to eat is going to get converted into a juice. Again, that juice is going to get absorbed. Its pure form will be go to the cells. Again, that waste material is going to come out. So this process which goes from macro to micro is based on the concept of your homeostasis of how you're going to digest that food, the Agni. And internal Agni is always dependent on external Agni. It's very simple. Like if you put too much of food, the body will have to burn it at a very faster rate, or it will just remain there if you don't have the power.
Yes.
If you have very good power, whatever you eat, you have done a lot of hard work. So these algorithms were used, and the corresponding spices or whatever we say in that geographical locations were used to enhance the end product so that it will be easily digestible by the body.
So there's no disadvantage to these algorithms in the kitchen.
See, again, I said algorithms never change. It depends upon how you're using it. Now, see, Ayurveda is a very structured science. For example, I'll tell you, because examples might help. In my part of the world, I come from the Konkan coast of Maharashtra. Okay, so
where's that?
we use it's near Goa. It's from Mumbai to Goa. There is a Konkan, the western part of India. Okay, so if you go to those fields, you'll see use of a lot of coconut in our food. Okay, the South Indian food, there will be a lot of coconut used. Now, why was coconut used? It is not because you'll say coconut is has some doshik properties, gun properties, rasvirya vipak properties.
Cooling.
Of course, that comes into contentions, but the issue was how it was understood. Near the coastal regions at that time, just see a time when there was no curtailed environments, no ACs, no heaters, nothing. People used to go and work in the fields. Being a very coastal region, we were very exposed to rains. A lot of rains used to come. So when there is no rains, it is very humid. You perspire a lot. So you go and work in the rice fields in wet water. So what happens? Because of the outside cold, in body, the heat gets trapped. The vata gets trapped, like what we say. And therefore what happens is that when they went home and they ate a lot of coconut, it used to elevate the vata, it used to make their joints strong. Now, if you use the same food in a curtailed environment where you're not exposed to those winds, what is it going to do? Even though you might say the preparation is traditional, therefore we have to understand there is nothing called as an Ayurvedic recipe. There is an Ayurvedic algorithm. Algorithm is why a particular thing is used in a particular geographical location to create a dish. How that dish customizes taste on all levels, and how exactly we balance it. And that is how, these are the algorithms. If you use either in one food or throughout the day. So, as I've said that we'll come back to it, but just because you've asked me this question, as I've said, I've already written a book on whiskey. So if we see in our entire life, whatever food we eat, whatever, I'll give you an algorithm. You will eat sweet, you will eat sour, you will eat salty food.
Yes.
And maybe you will eat spicy food. So these four, majority of your foods are like that. Very few people will have bitter or astringent. Astringent is a taste no one knows what is astringent. Because some people only know because it is a very woody taste. It is a taste which cleans, but we don't know what is astringent. So see, when you drink like a bitter coffee, cappuccino or an espresso, it is bitter.
Mm-hmm.
You eat your food for 4 rasas. So 4 rasas are food. You're taking a cappuccino in the morning, 5th rasa. And if you take whiskey, which the single malt whiskey, which basically is an extract of oak, and oak is astringent. You're balancing the taste. Now you will say morally alcohol is bad. Too much of caffeine is bad. It increases that doshas, and you're right in your sense. But when you see the entire algorithmic homeostasis from sun to sun, at minute level of existence, you're still following the Vedic principles. So this is how, when you start understanding food, okay, I'm not here promoting the use of alcohol or anything. I'm just giving for an explanation basis of how exactly tastes are understood and how exactly can you balance those with algorithm.
So I have a question here from Kush Kumar, who's the founder of Think Tree. It's an international professional association for complementary therapists and practitioners. And he asks, what would you recommend as an algorithm for the amounts of specific ingredients in food we should be eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Would that be,
amount means
would that be personalized more on a person-to-person basis?
See, I think here the basic thing what I would say is rise with the sun and go down with the sun. I'll talk about myself because how I implement it in my clients and how I tell people about certain things. So the main thing here is that when you get up in the morning, in Ayurveda, I said get up at 3:45, then do all your stuff, get up at again, by 6, you're done. Then you eat 2 times a day, because now you're not working in very hard working environments. So you have to eat 2 times a day. It's not that I'm going in the fields and doing certain things. So let us say if I eat in the morning at a particular time, the moment I get up at 6, 3:45 and 6, after 12 hours, my Agni goes down. So with the sun you rise, with the sun you set. Now, as I said, in certain parts of the world, the sun sets at 10, sometimes 11. If you go to Iceland, sometimes it never sets. But that doesn't matter. See, your body, the first thing what Ayurveda says in Sutrasthana is ahar, then vihar, and then aushadhi. Ahar means the food what you fuel your body should be proper. It should be backed up by a proper vihar. Vihar means the lifestyle what you're finding. So you might have very good food, but if you eat it at the wrong time, it is still going to cause you problem.
Yes.
But if your Agni is constant, let us say that you're eating absolutely 40 minutes between 9 to 9:40 in the morning. You're having your dinner between 5 to 5:30 in the evening. You're doing it. You're not eating anytime. So what happens? Your body clock, it trains for that Agni, that receptors, to increase that metabolic fire, because there is always a method. We in our busy life, if we follow a schedule, it always becomes easy to get work done. Like let's say that you want to go out for a gymming at 10 p.m. and you're doing some work till 9:45. You say I'll spend 15 minutes more. That 15 minutes might go to 30 minutes. But if you say come what may, however important it is, by 9:55 I'm going to stop my work and get out of the house. So body works like that. So when you maintain those timings, it doesn't matter what kind and how much amount of food you're eating. So let us say you have prepared a very Shad Rasatmak Satvik food for me, so-called, whatever is in the definition. But if I eat it at the wrong time, it is still going to cause me problems.
Yes.
But at my time, if I'm eating at these 2 times and I'm hungry between 5 to 5:30. I'm getting nothing. I go and eat a stale burger. You know, it is still going to give me nutrition because my Agni will digest it.
Yeah.
And therefore, the concept of Agni, I've got a video on it, has been elaborated from universal point to even a crematorium. It says when you're in a crematorium, the Agni takes a form of kravya. It now digests wheat. When you're born and you're growing, that Agni is transforming every cell, so you're growing. So in that sense, a lot of people say that a breakfast should be more, lunch should be a little bit less, dinner should be less. I'm not saying that is wrong. Some people who follow it and it works for them, fine. It is again a way of cultivating Agni as long as they are adhering to those timings. For some people, they say that, okay, I want to eat only this much gastronomic portions because it makes me feel good. That is also fine. But eventually, body has got nothing to do with your cosmetic appearances. A lot of people eat a particular kind of food because they want to feel light, they want to look good. But it is not that. Health has got nothing to do with how you look. There are people who are very obese, yet they can climb mountains better than people who go to the gym. There are people who go to the gym all the time, but even if they eat something outside, they fall sick. There are people who eat everything around and they don't fall sick. So Vedic sciences explains us that nothing in this world is random. So there has to be a logic and algorithm behind it, and it can be established on this timings from sun to sun, moon to moon. So get up at a particular time, eat on particular time. Ideally, if you finish your last meal before the sun sets, I say if you get up at 6, if you finish it before 6, have 2 meals a day. In that 40 minutes, 50 minutes, you eat as much as you like, depending upon your Agni. I think so, you can eat. And then in that, once this is set, then you can refine it as per your taste. So if you're eating every day very salty food, then again it is going to cause you issue. Then those things come afterwards, how you are going to mix match. But if you say I'm going to mix match everything, I'm going to create a perfect blend, pepper, turmeric, this, that food you have created. You have analyzed all its doshic properties, gun properties, ras, virya, vipa. But you eat it at the wrong time, it is still going to cause harm.
Yeah. I have one final question for you. And I'm interested that when you go traveling, and especially, for example, in the mountains, in the Himalayas, I've been there myself. I came across remote cafes with eggs and packets of instant noodles. So I'm curious, when you go traveling, do you take a thermos with hot food with you? Do you take dried dates, or what are your healthy Ayurvedic tips for keeping yourself nourished during those more extreme weather conditions, etc.?
See, there is a lot of different facets to it in the way you breathe and all, but just if we restrict to food, as I said, it is all about Agni. So because I follow a very algorithmic method for most parts, it doesn't happen. I back myself to digest anything what comes my way. So I don't carry any food with me. Because see, I don't go to places, I go to very remote places. So sometimes we have to carry our food. Sometimes we have to make do with, at those heights, sometimes, you cannot use a pressure cooker. We carry a pressure cooker, but sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes the water cannot be boiled. Sometimes you run out of ration. So you have to make do with wild edible plants, which for most parts, if a normal person may eat, they might find it problematic. But because I have developed this methodology of eating on a particular time, of maintaining the Agni, so it never bothers me of what I eat. So in my 18 years in the Himalayas, I've never carried any food. Whatever food was presented, I've always eaten. Sometimes I've even just survived on milk or just on water, but that is a different part. The point here, what I'm trying to make, that if your Agni is good, then it doesn't matter what you eat. If your Agni is bad, then even if you take the glacial waters of Himalayas, you're still going to fall sick. So this is what I have observed with few friends who come with me. A lot of people who come, they have food preferences. Most of them are vegetarians. I don't keep that kind of inhibitions, because I have to go to places where I don't have a choice. Education is foremost, so you have to make do with whatever is around you. And it's not only the Himalayas. You have to go to tropical forests. You have to go to a lot of places, and there are a lot of people inside who eat, who have their own customs, who have developed their own methodology of cooking food in their geographical conditions. The kind of utensils they use. Some people cook food on stone. Some people cook food by burying it inside the earth by putting some spices. Some food is cooked after 2 days. So, you have to just make sense of what they are trying to do. They're just trying to ignite the Agni. They're just trying to make that food so homogeneous. When it goes in the right kind of juices and converts it into something which your body can absorb and give you strength. But if we just take certain things for granted as good and bad, then eventually it might cause you problems.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your insights. It's been an absolute pleasure.